Hey, what's up, guys? I'm doing a video about my experience achieving long-term remission from severe Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And this video is going to dive into the following topics, or at least some of the following topics, like what I did to achieve remission, what did I do to get there, how long did it take me to get into remission, did I ever relapse, did my symptoms ever come back, do I live a normal life, and just some other insight to some of the questions that I'm asked on a regular basis. And for the people that are subscribed to this channel or that have watched my videos before, I apologize in advance, as I know I haven't created a video in close to 8 months since my second daughter Mila was born. And it's been a little hectic, my life in general, to say the least, over the last year, with having my second daughter born and having a little toddler, like a little 3-year-old running around. The girls keep us super busy, on top of the fact that I work 50 plus hours in any given week. So there's not really a lot of time to make videos at the end of the day. So I apologize for that, but I know I owe it to the community to make videos and to share my experience and to give people hope and to share strategies that can help them overcome their autoimmune conditions. So I'm going to be definitely making an effort to do one piece of content or one video per week. And hopefully I can make that happen. So now getting back to the whole purpose of this video. The other day I was thinking about just being diagnosed, going through the emotions, and I came upon this calendar. I used to pretty much plot all my symptoms early on. I would just plot things down, how many bowel movements I had, and I would go through everything, and it just started making me thinking about it started making me think about that whole process, and it just brought up a lot of emotions. And then I started thinking about how long I've been in remission. I knew it was over a decade, but I didn't know how long over a decade. And the last flare that I remember having was in Hawaii. I was visiting a buddy and I was helping him out. He owns a big orchard in Hawaii. And I remember I was eating a bunch of tangelos and a bunch of oranges. It was just, I was overdoing the sugar, and eventually it inevitably threw me into this really major flare. That wasn't fun, especially considering that I was in Hawaii, in this beautiful place, and a good chunk of my trip was spent in bed or not feeling well. But it was a good life lesson anyways. So I had to look back and find this video, and I seen the video was from 13 years ago. So it's around 12 to 13 years that I've been in remission, because it was 3 to 4 months after I made that video that I really achieved a solid state of remission. And I think sometimes what happens when you achieve remission is that you sort of take it for granted. I think a lot of people, they intend to do a lot of things. They intend to share their story or maybe give testimonials and things like that. But what happens is you just end up getting busy with life. You return to life, because I think that your disease isn't really acting as this big crutch. And you can you can get back to living life, get back to your dreams, do the things that are important to you. So you sort of, you fade away from doing the things that I mentioned, such as testimonials or sharing your story or being able to spread hope. And it was definitely a reminder to me to do this video, because I wanted other people to know that it's possible to achieve remission. So now to why I'm making this video. I'm not trying to be boastful. If you're watching this video, that's my last intent, is to try to be boastful and brag about being in remission. Because I've also been on the other side of the equation, where I pretty much lost 60 plus pounds or 70 plus pounds and hated the way I looked in the mirror, had depression, anxiety, was suicidal, you name it. And I don't want to go on this little victim rant, but I was just at the lowest point in my life where it was not a good place to be. It was like all my dreams and all the things that I ever wanted to do were just being crushed, and they didn't seem like they were possible. So it wasn't a good place to be. And for anybody that's early on in this whole diagnosis process with any autoimmune condition, I think that we're just sort of bombarded with fear. And it's almost like we're getting robbed of a normal life. And all we can do is think about the things that we're not going to have, or being consumed with bad stories and just a lot of the bad that comes with autoimmune conditions, especially that you read. It's just a bunch of fear-mongering stuff that a lot a lot of us focus on initially. So my intention with this video is to make you realize that you can dramatically improve your condition. And I've seen the most severe cases turn around. People that were ready to have their colons removed or have crazy surgeries, change their diet, change their lifestyle, and go into being in remission for decades. So don't count yourself out. And I'm one of those people that did have a severe case as well. So I was blessed with being diagnosed with multiple autoimmune conditions, which would be Crohn's disease, colitis, eczema, asthma, Raynaud's disease, and the list goes on. And you know what? My symptoms were severe, and there's a list of symptoms, of whether it was bloody bowel movements, joint pains, night sweats, poor eyesight, red eyes, anal fistula, intestinal narrowings. Again, like I said, Raynaud's, so cold hands and feet, eczema, underweight. You name it, I pretty much had it. There was a lot of symptoms. It was not a fun It was not a fun time in my life, and yeah, just it was not fun. It was constant sickness and just being unhappy. But now to the good stuff, the reason that you're here to watch this video. So has my life been normal? And you know what, I can say it's been better than normal. I've had this amazing, blessed life. I've done very well for myself, whether that's financially, having a good career and a good job that I really enjoy, being very good with money, considering that I was brought up in a very poor family by traditional standards. So a single parent family with not a lot of money. So I've been very blessed that way. I also have a beautiful wife that I love and 2 little girls that I love more than anything. And I have this amazing life that I look forward to, and it really excites me. On top of the fact that I've been able to travel the world and enjoy so many different experiences. So have I had a normal life? I would say I've had an exceptional life, and I've had a blessed life. So normal. I wouldn't say normal. I'd say awesome and blessed. So if you're sitting here thinking that you're stuck in this period of suffering, that doesn't have to be the case by any means. So now, how did I get into remission from Crohn's disease and colitis? Well, I think that's a loaded question. But the thing that started me off, at least dramatically improving my symptoms, was I started a low-carb diet. And the diet that I started at the time was called the SCD diet, specific carbohydrate diet. And then I pretty much tweaked it. So I did that diet for probably close to 2 years or a year and a half or something. And then I tweaked and I adjusted it. But if anybody's curious to exactly what I did to get into remission, I do have a free guide on my website that you can download and you can check it out. It shares a lot more things in detail. So now, how long did it take me to get into remission, or to achieve remission? Well, I think at first it took a little bit longer because it was really a confusing mess, because I was trying too many things. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And you guys are lucky. You guys at least have YouTube, and you have people's testimonials, and you have a lot of things that you can look at to see things that work for people and things that don't. There was no such thing as YouTube when I first started out. I was pretty much looking at every book I could find. I was looking on forums, and most of them were just a bunch of people spreading fear. It wasn't really success stories. So it took me a while to sort of hone in on the fact that I need to focus on those success stories. And then that's what I had to sort of implement, those kind of things. So it took 1 to 2 years initially for me to get into remission. Just because of, like I said, it was a few steps forward, a few steps back. So it was a little confusing. It was a very confusing process. But once I knew what I was doing, it was a lot better. So once I had that last flare up in Hawaii, from that point in time, it was, so my last flare, I had this really bad flare. I was able to get into a solid state of remission probably a few months after. But I can say this, so because of really how my bad approach initially, not everybody has to go through that process. That was just me because I didn't have any resources at the time. But for most people, like knowing what I know now, I think that a person can probably achieve a really awesome place in regards to remission in 6 to 12 months. And you're going to find most of the surface level stuff that you have, it's going to clear up super quickly. It's probably going to clear up in 30 to 60 days. And I mean, that's the stuff that's the bloody bowel movements, the things that are bothering you now. A lot of your immediate symptoms are going to clear up. It's the more serious damage that takes a lot longer. So things such as an anal fistula might take a little bit while to clear up and to heal. Your joint pains might slowly dissipate. Eyesight might improve slowly. Intestinal narrowings, though, that was something that also took a little while, because I think initially it was like I felt some scratching, I felt some discomfort. As time got better, I felt nothing. So those are, again, those narrowings, those are things that take a little bit longer to heal. So just think about it. The majority of your symptoms will go away relatively quickly. A lot of the inconvenient symptoms will go away relatively quickly. It's the symptoms, or at least the damage that's been caused, that's sort of long-term, that will take a little bit more longer to sort of heal up and shift back to a better state. So now I know a lot of people are curious, do I still have flare-ups? Well, the short answer to that is no. But like anyone else, I enjoy eating garbage. So I might not have a flare-up, but I still love eating garbage just as much as the next person. I fall off the bandwagon. I eat way too much. I drink way too much at certain times in the year. And yeah, if I do that for a significant amount of time, so if I go 7+ days eating garbage, which, hey, everybody does it, usually I feel pretty crappy. I might feel crappy for a day or two. And it really depends on how quickly I change my course. And when I say I feel crappy, I mean like if I was to eat a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, and drink alcohol for a period of 7 days, and I'm using 7 days is because usually when you go on a vacation or something like that, you're going for a week and you get into some of those habits. Then when I come back, if I haven't done anything, what will usually end up happening was I'll feel a little bit crappy. I might have a little bit of diarrhea, or I might just notice some joint pains, or just a little bit of discomfort, but it's definitely not full-fledged flare or anything like that. It's just a little bit of discomfort. But it all depends on how quickly I change course. So whether I go back to my normal routine and I drop the carbs, that all sort of depends on the situation. And I think for most people, you have to realize is our IBDs are our weakest link. So if we eat way too much garbage, if we have spiked cortisol because we're stressed out, just a whole bunch of factors that we have in our everyday life, a lot of times the first thing that we're going to notice is probably some digestive issues, and it can be digestive issues or issues that come along with our Crohn's disease. So those are all things that we obviously have to pay attention to, and we pretty much have to plan around so that we can live a pretty normal life. So now, do I go see the doctor regularly? For me, I don't go see the doctor regularly. For the most part, I feel pretty awesome. And I think that as long as I stick to my schedule and my sort of routine, I don't have any issues. I know that, so after I was in remission for a few years, I went to see the doctor just to do a colonoscopy. And he said everything looked clear. It looked great. And after that point, I haven't went back. And you might ask why I haven't went back. Personally, I am not a fan of colonoscopies. I think that they have the potential to do a lot more damage. The process to getting to the colonoscopy of having to sort of clear your bowel and stuff like that, if you don't do it properly by adding good bacteria and probiotics, a lot of people go into full flare state after they get colonoscopies. So I just choose to let my symptoms be a guide. So if I feel really good, if my symptoms are reduced and I feel pretty awesome and I have no bowel issues, is there a point for me to go get a colonoscopy? In my opinion, no. And that's just my opinion. If a person wants to go get colonoscopies every few years, that's up to them. Personally, I just choose not to. So do I ever struggle? And I think the short answer is yes, I struggle, because I'm addicted to food just like anybody else. Just like most people. I love my sweets. Sweets are definitely my weakness. Like when I go to a dinner, and especially with my wife's family, because they have such a huge family, there's always sweets around. So the dessert table is huge. Yeah, I definitely overdo the carbs and the sugar at different times of year and at those events. It can be a little bit crazy, and sometimes I fall off the bandwagon, but I really do my best to get back in gear and just to get back to my normal program. So what do I do to stay in remission? Well, you've heard me talk a little bit about falling off the bandwagon here and there, but for the most part, you know what, I say that just because I want to be transparent. I want to be honest that I'm just like anybody else. But for the most part, I don't fall off the bandwagon, and I don't really feel a lot of symptoms, nor do I feel sick, and that's because I have a system that I stick with. So on average, I do something that's like, it's called what I call a 5-in-2 program. So 5 days a week, I pretty much eat low carb, high fat foods. So I'm doing, I guess you'd say it's like a slightly ketogenic / carnivore kind of diet. And 2 days a week, I eat whatever I want. And with that said, I pretty much do eating windows and intermittent fasting a good chunk of that time, so that I'm not eating, and I might just be using coffee as just sort of a tool. So that's pretty much just the gist of what I do. I'm doing a 5-in-2 strategy, 5 days low carb, high fat kind of thing. And 2 days, I eat whatever I want. Do I think that everybody can go into that right away? No, I think you have to wait until you achieve remission before you can sort of go to a 5-in-2. But for me, that works because it keeps me doing a long-term plan. It keeps me, it's a lot easier to do something when you can, it's a lot easier to stay the course when 5 of your days, you're staying the course, and 2 days you get to have some cheats. You get to feel good about it. So it's very easy for me to keep this system up, and I've done it for a good chunk of time. Yeah, I've done it probably like 6, 7, 8+ years, something like that. It's been pretty crazy. I've done that program for a long time, and it works. And I'd say besides that, there's probably a few weeks in the year that I probably might go zero carb. So I do the odd week or two zero carb, or I'll do extended fast, things like that, just if I need to tweak if I'm not feeling optimal and I want to tweak my situation. Yeah, I might do an extended fast for a few days, and but I'm far from perfect. I can't say that I probably stick with this program 75% of the time, and 75% of the time I'm eating low carb, high fat, and 25% of the time I'm probably eating cheat meals and enjoying life just like anybody else. So I think for anybody watching this video, I know that being diagnosed and having a lot of symptoms and being sick and feeling hopeless, it can be really scary. But if I were you, I'd choose to not live in fear. You really got to focus on the big picture, and that's remission. And that's the fact that you can actually achieve remission. This is just another chapter in your life. Like it's not something that has to last forever. Like I remember being early diagnosed thinking I wasn't going to have a blessed life. I wasn't going to do a lot of the things that I've done because I was so overwhelmed with fear. I was paranoid. I was scared. I was probably a little bit down on myself, feeling bad. I was just depressed, anxiety, you name it. I was just at a super low point in my life, and it wasn't a good place to be. You guys don't have to be there. I know what it's like to be there. I'm just telling you that remission is completely possible. There are so many people that have achieved remission. I'm not a special person to achieve remission. I just did a few specific things that allowed me to get some pretty awesome results and live an awesome life. You can easily duplicate what I've done by implementing similar things. And like I said, if anybody has questions into some of the things that allowed me to enjoy a blessed life and be able to maintain long-term remission, you can go to my site and you can use the description. You can download my free guide. There's no catch there. Check it out. It's very transparent. It shows what I did. And you know what? This whole experience of being diagnosed, you just have to look at it just as it has to be another chapter of your life, something that you've overcome. It's going to be a great story one day to tell people and to say, hey, I was dealt this crappy situation and I overcame it, and it made my life better. And I know that's hard to think about how a disease can make your life better, but there'll be a point when you realize it, and maybe then we can have a conversation. So I'm done my little rant. If you guys got value from this video, you know what to do. Hit that, smash that like button. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them. And like I said, go to that guide if you have specific questions about what I did. Check the guide out. I think it will do a pretty good job pointing you in the right direction. Thank you so much for the love, guys. I appreciate it. I'm going to do my best to make videos. Thanks a lot.
Are you tired of feeling crappy? Get my free healing guide. Tips, tweaks, and hacks. Click the description for more information.